Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pythonic Accountant. It's been a couple minutes since we've had a video, so I'm excited to be back. So today we're going to take a look at using Python to download a zip file from a link and grab some data from it. And in this case, we're going to be grabbing some census data that has government financial information. So this will be pretty cool. We're not going to get too much into it in this one, but what we can do is show the basics of how to get it and pull it into a pandas data frame, and then in a later video we can start playing around with it a little further. So the different data sets have different levels of detail. So there's state data, county, municipal, township, and in each of these you can get a zip file that will have information that will give you references as well as the actual CSV file itself. And this is not a huge file, but the county data is much bigger. So I've got some code written that'll help us get started. Let me zoom in so I can make it easier to see. So the libraries we're using here are the standard zip file library, which is good for dealing with zip files, and then Altair for the data viz, requests for downloading the file, and then pandas for getting the data frame. So I put the URL here, and the cool thing is you can replace this with the county data URL and literally just change state to county. And the way that we've had this set up is it finds the name of the zip file through the underscore piece, and it can actually just automatically change to pull the county data. I'll actually show that in a minute. So this is a function that helps us download the file, and so the benefit of this versus just downloading the whole thing at once is this allows you to do what's called streaming. So if it's a really large file, it'll download it at chunks at a time and write those chunks locally through writing bytes, and none of it gets hogged up in your memory all at once. So if you have like a really large file, that can kind of slow down your computer, maybe even crash Python, and so this prevents that from happening, which is nice. So then I'm downloading the file, and then here we basically use the zip file context manager. So with zip file, and then I feed in the file path, that's the name of the file right there, and unzip it basically. But I don't unzip it to a local file, I unzip it to memory, and then I actually load it up into a data frame here. So let's just do all this together. So load up those libraries, that's the URL. Create the function, and then we download the file, and that just takes a minute. And we're on Google Colab here, and you can see the file ends up showing up, and you can see I downloaded the county data elsewhere, but the state data shows up there. And then this is the context manager that loads it up into the data frame, and let's take a look at what the data frame looks like. So df.head gives us the first 5 records, and this ends up being quite a large number of columns. There's 593 columns. So we could probably spend a lot of time just looking through these columns, figuring out what the heck these are. And I should mention, by the way, this is a pretty cool data set. So Willamette University did this project to take the U.S. Census Bureau's historical data that actually came in different formats throughout the years and standardized it and put it in these kind of standardized data sets. So it makes it easier to do analysis over multiple years. So that's where we're pulling the data from. So really cool concept. And so the name column gives you the name of the state. And I did notice a basic level of cleanup that we have to do here is in older years, the state name will have the name of the state plus the words state government after it. But in later years, it changes to just say state, the state name rather. So you can see that if you go, df name dot unique, and it'll show you you've got Alabama state government, Alabama, Alaska state government, Alaska, and it's pretty consistent. That's how it works. So I just did a little cleanup piece right here that I replaced the name with the name, and I use a lambda to just basically delete out the state government piece. So once we do that, the unique name will just have the name of the 50 states plus Washington, D.C. So that's pretty nice. There's a lot of data here. Like I said, we're not going to really get into it in this video, but pretty neat to be able to play around at some point. It's got some cost data, some revenue data. It's got population. So maybe we'll play around with like total revenue and population or something. So what I've done here in my first kind of attempt to play around is, I'll just refresh this, make sure it's good, is I created a data viz using Altair, and just for reducing the data size for the viz, I excluded anything older than the year 2000. And we're looking at the color is representing the year. I'm looking at hunting and fishing licenses just for fun, just to kind of see what the largest states are from a hunting and fishing license perspective. And then the y-axis is the name of the state. And this sort just makes it sort from largest to smallest. So it's like the negative of what the x-axis has. And then the tooltip is kind of cool. This just pops up the information when I hover my mouse over it. Gives me the name of the state, the year, and then the total amount of the hunting and fishing license. So we can replace this with the revenue piece, which I think is, total underscore revenue. And that'll be interesting to see what that looks like. And just for ease, instead of replacing the piece multiple times, I'm just going to put the amount equals total revenue. And then I can replace, let's see, I got to do this. And then I got to do, I think this should work. Let's find out. And get a quote there. Whoops. Some amount. I don't think it likes that. And let's see if that works. So hoping this will now give us the total revenues by state, and the rest of the viz should be the same, where it excludes anything older than 2000 and sorts it in order of highest to lowest revenue amount by state. And there you go. That makes sense. I would not surprised to see California up there really high, New York, Texas. So this is pretty cool. You can definitely dig in further from here if we wanted. But wow, that's quite a difference. Let's say we wanted to do a per capita thing. I think that could be interesting. So you could do the revenue per capita, rev per cap. And all we're going to do is we're going to divide the revenues by the population. So DF total revenue. And I think that's in thousands. So let's go ahead and multiply it by 1,000. And then divide it by DF population. And then here we're going to replace the total revenue with revenue per capita. And this should even it out a little bit more because California does have quite a lot of people. We might still see California up there. I have a feeling we might, but we'll see. Not quite sure. It's exciting. What's going to happen? Ooh, wow, Alaska. Look at that. Washington, D.C. Pretty interesting. I am surprised. Wow, so California is actually in the middle over there. And even New York doesn't make it up too high. So cool. Well, there you have it. This is interesting. We got a lot of insights already. Alaska gets the most revenue per person of all the states, with Washington, D.C. next. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. This has been another video from the Pythonic Accountant. If you liked it, please click like and subscribe to see more like this, and hope to see you at the next one. Bye-bye.